Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for this amazing class, Testing Your Thyroid. So I am so excited to be with you today to present this because literally what we're going to be talking through this morning can help you break open and really understand what's happening with your thyroid. Okay. So a lot of times, like I get so many clients that come in with thyroid imbalance, but their doctors have told them, oh, it's fine. See you next year. And they still feel like crap. Right. So I want to dig into this with you today because literally you have the ability to look at your own test results or even ask for other like further testing. We're going to be looking at TSH today, which is the most, like most doctors will order that. And sometimes that's the only test marker that they order, right? And we're going to see why that is not really going to give us a good idea of what's happening in the thyroid. We're going to look at the other test markers that really, really help unravel some of this. Oh, excuse me, my voice is having trouble today. But also, this is going to give you the understanding to really be able to look at those numbers. First of all, ask for them. Ask for a copy of your blood work so you can see it and look through it and know what's actually going on and have some clues around what can you do, right? So I'm so excited for this. I feel like I'm handing you the keys to unlock what is going on with your thyroid. Excuse me. So let's dive in. Okay, here we go. Oh, I need to tell you a little bit more about me and our practice here. So for those of you who are new, I am Melissa with Sagebrush Wellness, and I am so absolutely passionate about helping people with autoimmune and chronic illness and just whatever they have going on in their bodies recover, like truly recover, not just sort of, not just be on something for the rest of their life, truly recover, because I believe that our bodies have the innate ability to be well, right? We just have to figure out what's throwing them off balance. And I have assembled an amazing team of experts in their area. So we have functional medicine practitioners on our team. We have a world known mindset coach on our team. We have a gifted mental health practitioner on our team that has been working in the area of trauma and wellness, really working in putting together what's happening up here and what's happened with us in our life, putting that together with solving the emotional space, really helping us be well there. So put us all together in a team, and we've put together a really in-depth way to serve you and help you become well. So that's us here at Sagebrush Wellness. All right. This is what we're going to learn today. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. So, why TSH isn't an adequate marker for thyroid health? Oh, I hope you're able to catch on to some of this and really get a sense of, okay, great. Thank you for ordering my TSH. Now I need to know the rest of the markers, right? Really give yourself some confidence into asking for what you need from your doctor. Why being in the normal reference range kind of means nothing. We'll be going through this. The correct labs to understand the bigger picture of the thyroid, right? So TSH, I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit. TSH is really just checking a feedback loop, right? And yes, it includes the thyroid, but it more includes the pituitary and the anterior pituitary. Okay. How to adequately address thyroid dysfunction. Yeah. We'll be sprinkling these how-tos and what to look into all along the way. And I'm debuting today a new piece of our practice. So you guys that know me know that I'm really, really passionate about making sure that you can get what you need and understand what you need to really help your body become well. Okay. So I've actually opened up a shop for you guys to be able to order your own blood work, even if you are not a client of Sagebrush Wellness. Okay. This is kind of groundbreaking for us, and quite frankly, groundbreaking in our field, because I want you to have what you need to understand what's going on in your body. I also understand that if you get a test back and you're looking at the results and you're going, okay, now what do I do with this information? You can book in with our practitioners. We'll go through that with you and really help you understand what's happening. So, debuting today. All right, let's dig in. Let's talk about the thyroid gland. What does it actually do? Do we know? So, the main gig, literally, of the thyroid is to be the master of your metabolism. It is what helps produce hormones that regulate your energy, your growth or recovery, cell repair, all of that, and development. Okay. So, one of the fun things about our body is it's constantly repairing. Cells do their thing, get old, die, processed out of the body, right? So, we're constantly being regenerated, we're constantly being renewed. Like the cells that you see on your hand, these cells that you're looking at weren't here a year ago. Okay. So we're constantly renewing, and this thyroid gland has a lot to do with that renewal. So when you think about other parts and pieces of your body that aren't terribly well, and you're really working on recovery, knowing that our body renews constantly and making sure that your thyroid gland is working well is a really big key to being able to heal. Okay. So weight and metabolism, we often think of these in relation to the thyroid, right? If those are out of balance, we think, okay, what's going on with the thyroid? So your hormones, T4 and T3, really help to rev up your metabolic engine. They're kind of what keeps the gas going, right? They help control how fast or how slow your body burns calories and how efficiently it uses energy, right? So if you're feeling sluggish and your metabolism is just slowing down and you're starting to gain weight, it's a really good thing to check in on your thyroid. Remember these little nuggets that I'm dropping, right? So checking in on your T4 and T3 to help understand what's happening with your metabolism, okay? So an underactive thyroid. So we've heard about these things. They have diagnostic names, but I really want to keep this in the realm of what is happening instead of putting a name on it or a title, right? So hypothyroidism, right, can be a real energy thief. That's when your thyroid is going, it's not producing thyroid hormones, T4 and T3 to be exact, at a good continuous level, and your metabolism is starting to go down like that, right? It feels like sluggishness. It feels like fatigue. It feels like some brain fog. It feels like weight gain and just an overall feeling of, right? Like you don't have energy to finish your day. It can also really mess with your mood, causing you to feel down. Often when I see people who have kind of some anxiety, a little bit of depression, just feeling, and stressors just really get to them quickly, I want to look at their thyroid. So just a quick note here, the thyroid and adrenal glands work closely together. Like we think about anxiety being fueled by excess cortisol, we cannot only look at the adrenals, we need to look at the thyroid because they work together like this. They help to balance each other. Okay. So an overactive thyroid feels like you're on a never-ending roller coaster. Your metabolism really goes into overdrive. Often people who are in this space lose weight. They have no idea what's going on. They're eating all the time. They're always hungry. Sometimes you can end up with rapid heartbeat, anxiety, irritability, and feeling hot all the time. Like, okay, somebody just turned the heat up and they really didn't. Okay. It's like having your engine on high and just, it won't ever slow down. Okay. I could imagine some of you going, yep, that's what it feels like. So here are some unexpected symptoms that I wanted to go through with you guys, because our thyroid is only one piece of our entire hormone dance that's going on in the body. Okay. So ladies, an underactive thyroid can disrupt the delicate balance of estrogen and progesterone and lead to heavier, longer, or irregular periods, while an overactive thyroid can cause lighter or shorter periods, or even missed periods altogether. So when you're really digging in and you're sleuthing out what's going on with your thyroid, ladies, pay attention to what's happening with your monthly cycle. Okay, these are closely connected. So just like when I have somebody come into the practice and they're really concerned about the thyroid, one of the very like second and third questions I ask them after understanding more about their thyroid and what's going on and what they've tested and all of that and their symptoms is, what's your monthly cycle looking like? And really digging in there, because these two are so tightly connected. Fellas, an underactive thyroid can lead to decreased levels of testosterone, okay, which can cause symptoms like fatigue, decreased libido, and even erectile dysfunction and fertility issues. So just as we need to look at, gals, look at your cycle, what's happening in your cycle, fellas, we need to not ignore, especially if you've got thyroid imbalance, not ignore what's happening in your other hormones, right? Because this really is affecting the entire hormone interface in the body. All right. An overactive thyroid, excuse me, it can disrupt the balance of testosterone, leading to symptoms like fatigue, weight loss, muscle weakness and muscle loss, especially the large muscles in the body, and even changes in mood and libido. Okay. So when we think about the thyroid, we need to also be thinking about the other hormones in the body and how they are being affected by this. Okay. So just looking at TSH is checking your feedback control loop. Okay. So this is a really important piece of information. We don't want to leave this number out. But when we look at TSH, we also need to look at the whole picture. Otherwise, we're just seeing like, it's like looking through a little knot hole in the fence, and that's all you can see, right? We need to look at the whole thing. So let's talk about what this is. Literally, it is checking the hormone stimulation from the anterior pituitary and the hypothalamus coming into the thyroid, and then asking for the secretion of T4 and T3. So this is a continual balance that is happening throughout your day. The perception of what's going on in your world, the pituitary sends the word down, oh, we need a little bit more T4, a little bit more T3. That's what happens. But as TSH increases, it changes how much T4 and T3 are secreted. So if it goes up, goes down, you can kind of see what that looks like. So if all is working well, TSH is kind of being like when we're measuring that, we're measuring what the pituitary or the body in general is asking for as far as thyroid hormone secretion. Okay. It is not testing, however, how much actual secretion is going on. Okay. That's where the rubber meets the road. All right. So let's talk about TSH a little bit more. TSH stands for thyroid stimulating hormone, and it is a blood test that measures the level of this hormone in your body. When your thyroid is underactive, your brain sends more TSH to try to wake it up. Conversely, if your thyroid is overactive, your brain sends less TSH to try to calm it down. Thinking about the feedback loop, right? So why is this not enough to really understand what's happening in the thyroid as a whole? So TSH can be within range or even in optimal range while symptoms of thyroid imbalance are present. You still feel like crap. And you might even be on levothyroxine or something else, a medication that is bringing your TSH in the optimal range, but it is literally not addressing the rest of the imbalance in the thyroid. Okay. So also just a quick note, when you're working on the thyroid using, like really looking at the whys, why do we have this imbalance happening in the first place? Working on those, solving those, and your body starts to come back into balance, your thyroid starts to work more optimally. And if you are on thyroid meds, you need to be in contact with your prescribing physician because they need to also be checking to make sure that your dosage is not too much, because if your thyroid improves and you get balance, you're going to get to the place where you don't need medication. All right. And we don't need to miss that, because as your body is getting better, that the dosage of your meds need to decrease as your body takes over its own processes again. Okay. So don't miss that. All right. Let's see, I lost my place. I got off on a rabbit train, sorry. So by itself, without symptoms, TSH is only valuable when the values are below 0.450. That can let us know that we have hyperfunction, and above 4.50. Okay. Let's see. Oh, yes. The time to address thyroid imbalance is before your numbers get to this place. And I can tell you right now, you'll very likely have marked symptoms before your body gets there. Okay. So let's look at other testing that is really, really necessary to help you fully understand what's going on with the thyroid. So first of all, TSH, we already looked at this one. It is most helpful when seen with a full thyroid panel. So just a little note, I've seen clients with marked imbalance in the thyroid, even with a growth on the thyroid gland itself, and their prescribing doctor was not interested in testing anything but TSH. Just blows my mind. So let's look at this. Common causes for increased TSH. So when we're looking at the whys, some of the whys, and just kind of put this away in your mind. If we know what or why there is imbalance here, we can address it. And quite frankly, we don't have to have meds to do that. We can use herbs, supplements, we can use food, we can use lifestyle stuff to actually address this in a way in which your body begins to recover and bring back its own balance. So you're not depending on a medication for this, okay? So common causes for increased TSH are liver dysfunction, a debilitating illness, like that one, we would really need to dig deep and puzzle piece in there. Dopamine therapy, guys, this is really important. Anterior pituitary tumor, HIV infection, preeclampsia, toxic and non-toxic goiter, and breast cancer. So these sound a little bit scary sometimes when we think about this, but your body always has a reason why. And there's nothing in this list that I read off that cannot be addressed successfully and sustainably, okay? Common causes for decreased TSH are toxic nodular goiter or non-toxic goiter, anterior pituitary lesion, bulimia, thyroid nodules, pregnancy, protein malnutrition, and toxic element exposure. So these are things that we want to rule out, quite frankly, when we're looking at what is causing the TSH imbalance. But to just look at TSH by itself, we don't have clues into the whys. Okay, so we're going to go deeper. We're going to look at T4, T3, and reverse T3. So these, along with the TPO antibodies numbers, are some of the key pieces to understanding what's causing imbalance in the thyroid. So T4 is the major hormone secreted by the thyroid gland, and it's transported through the blood attached to the thyroid binding globulin primarily. Free T4 can be tested as well. It is a very small portion of total T4. However, it is the metabolically active fraction. Like this is the one that's doing the work. So when we have, so say we have TSH that looks normal, nobody's tested the T4, free T4 or thyroid binding globulin. Excuse me. We need to think about what is not happening in the body, what is not being activated, what is not being produced, right? This is where I go first, just testing T4. What do we have here? All right. So if imbalance is found here, we look for things like protein malnutrition, acute stress, like long-term stress, liver disease, estrogen imbalance for guys and gals, okay? Vitamin B6 deficiency and iodine deficiency. So this is a huge, I wanted to put this in flashing red letters for you guys. But the iodine and iodized salt does not break down in the body and support the thyroid, period. Okay. We can get thyroid from foods. There are some amazing places to get iodine from, but it does not come from the iodized salt. All right. T3, thyroid hormone. This thyroid hormone is produced mainly from the conversion of T4. So T3 and T4 exist in the blood in both bound and free forms. So this conversion piece often is what is not working well when our TSH is maybe a little bit off, not bad, but we still feel like crap, okay? We need to look at this conversion piece. This is what goes sideways first. All right, so free T3 and TSH together are the best tests to help determine the functional status of the thyroid, okay? So let's talk about reverse T3. This is the inactive form of T3, and I like to think about it as the wild card, right? This one can be used in so many different ways for the body. It can be changed into other forms for the body to use. Imbalance here is frequently caused as a result of increased cortisol production by the adrenal gland. Remember what we were talking about in the beginning of your thyroid and your adrenals working like this, really supporting each other. In this situation, total serum T3, free T3, and T3 uptake will likely be normal. However, the symptoms of thyroid hypofunction will generally be present. Did you get that? So in this situation, most docs would opt for T3 supplementation, but they're already normal, optimal, okay? But the most effective approach is understanding why the increased cortisol levels are happening and address that imbalance, okay? So digging deeper, what is going on here? What is actually fueling this imbalance? And then how do we address that and really love on those adrenals, okay? Let's talk about TPO antibodies. And this is a number that I've literally had clients ask their endocrinologists or their prescribing physician for their thyroid meds to check. And they'll be like, no, I don't ever draw that blood marker because I don't know what to do with it. And I just want to go, oh, please learn. Because TPO antibodies, the measurement of this is one of the best clues into what can be causing imbalance in the thyroid as a whole. It's also the most sensitive test for the understanding of autoimmune thyroiditis, and frequently makes it unnecessary to complete other antibody testing, okay? So, fun fact. The highest incidence of chronic autoimmune thyroiditis correlates with countries in which iodine intake is the greatest, such as United States. Remember that note that iodine, like iodized salt, the iodine in your iodized salt does not convert and break down in the body to be able to be used to support the thyroid, okay? However, in the treatment of autoimmune thyroiditis, iodine is effective in 90% of the cases. So the right kind of iodine that your body can break down and use. Okay, so kind of file that away for yourself. So note, if iodine is considered by a practitioner to really start helping the thyroid, a urine iodine excretion test should be performed prior to beginning the use of iodine for treatment. So you can actually ask for this test, you guys. An increase in TPO antibodies can be present with both thyroid hyperfunction and thyroid hypofunction. It's not for one or the other. So for example, if you go in and you learn that you have, Graves' disease or Hashimoto's, we need to be checking this. This is part of looking at that whole picture. Irrespective of the thyroid function, when an increased TPO antibody number is present, we need to look for these things. And I gave you a whole list, and also kind of unveiling our lab shop, because literally you can go in and order the tests that you need to be able to answer these questions for yourself. Okay. I'm so passionate about putting the information that you need to be well in your hands. I don't want it to be locked away behind some doors or walls, or having to have a practitioner order things for you. If you know what you need, go order it. Okay. I'm working my hardest to make that possible. So anyways, here's some things we need to check. Viruses or viral overload. Adrenal cortical hyperfunction, like really looking at the adrenals, what's happening there. Reduced gut immunity, so looking at your secretory IgA. Bacterial overgrowth or imbalance. Toxic element exposure, this is a big one. Toxicity from inoculations or vaccinations, okay? Lean in here and don't, put a blind eye to those, because they have an effect in the body, and sometimes it's deep and lasting. Inflammation from allergies, especially gluten. Parasite infection. Yes, parasites can live in the thyroid. Yeast overgrowth, intercandida, right? And possible mold toxicity must be ruled out. So this would require additional testing. And I've put a link in here for our lab shop, making it possible for you to look through these labs, see what you want to look at, see what feels right for you, and provides the information that you feel like you want to know. Okay. Here's a quick note for mamas or gals who wish to get pregnant. About 77% of pregnant females who are hypothyroid have increased concentrations of TPO antibodies. And this can result in damage to the fetal brain. So when you're wanting to get pregnant, check your thyroid. If you have any symptoms or anything in your history that you're like, oh, I don't know, you can always get a blood test, see what's going on, so that you know that you are not passing on any of this to your little one when you get pregnant. All right. So let's look at some additional testing and symptoms. So T3 uptake, I really like to look at this because this really lets me understand how the body is able to use T3, okay? This is an indirect way of measuring thyroid binding globulin and is heavily influenceable if the person has, I can never say this word, salicylates, estrogen-containing compounds, such as birth control or hormone replacement therapy, cortisone or steroids, heroin and other drugs, or radiation, okay? It can be used when looking at the overall picture of the thyroid to help gain clues around what could be causing symptoms, all right? If there's an imbalance here, we need to look into other whole body markers, things like albumin, thyroid binding globulin, calcium, serum gastrin, HGB or hemoglobin, hematocrit, HCT, and RBC magnesium, triglycerides and cholesterol, alkaline phosphatase, TPO antibodies, we just talked about those, ferritin, and I would add in iron, serum iron, and glucose. All right. So looking at the whole body can be really, really helpful. So thyroid binding globulin, this is actually the vehicle, or I like to say the taxi cab, that takes hormones and spreads them throughout the body where they need to go to be able to really do their job in the body. This is the most determinant of the overall binding of T4. Okay. So thyroid binding globulin binds 70 to 80% of the total T4. It's important that all the taxis are running, guys. Some symptoms to look out for that indicate thyroid imbalance is difficulty losing weight, reduced initiative, just don't feel like doing anything, okay? Fatigue, sensitivity to cold, dry or scaly skin, ringing in the ears, low blood pressure, impaired hearing, constipation, like constant constipation, and inability to work under stress. Like there isn't much leeway, not much bandwidth. Loss of the outside portion of the eyebrows, right here. I know mine are blonde and you can hardly see them, but really looking to see, is this still there? Facial edema or swelling, muscle cramps when you're at rest. We like to think of it, well, sometimes it's things like restless legs or Charlie horses in the middle of the night, okay? Headaches in the morning that wear off during the day, right? And depression are indications of possible thyroid hypofunction. So really leaning into these. So important clue. Simply doing a complete CBC with differential and a CMP. So a CBC is a complete blood count panel with differential. So this gives you a good look at what's happening in the blood, both red and white blood cells. And a CMP, that's a complete metabolic panel, can give us clues around what is causing thyroid imbalance. It could be something as simple as the liver is sluggish and not being able to process through thyroid hormone, okay? Just a little note about Graves' disease. This is often due to viral overload, which we can test for and do something about. Toxic element exposure, we can test for that and do something about that. Food sensitivity, we can test for that. Bacterial excess or imbalance, we can test for that. Or a lack of iodine or the effect of vaccinations. Once again, we can test into that, right? And we can do something about it, and we don't have to have meds to do it. All right. Other things that can affect the thyroid, and I put quite a few fun things in here for you to use as in your own research. So any gut or liver problem causing dysbiosis can alter thyroid hormone reabsorption or elimination. All right. So leaning into what's happening in the gut. Meds such as Dilantin and Tegretol. So these are old names, but look for forms of these, especially generic. These can decrease T3 and T4 production. Someplace you can look up your drugs on drugs.com and really understand what kind they are and to see if there are forms of these drugs. Lithium batteries. Lithium in the body that we can absorb is converted by the thyroid and inhibits the formation and release of thyroid hormones. Okay, you guys that are builders and you work in shops and you are mechanics and all those things, and you're around lithium batteries or lithium in other forms, being aware of this. Okay, chloride, chlorine, check your water, right? Bromelain and fluoride, those are found in water and toothpaste primarily, but they can be other places. Act as inhibitors of thyroid peroxidase or TPO and the incorporate iodine, okay? Antidepressants can cause an inhibition of TPO antibodies, right? Red dye number 3 increases reverse T3 and decreases T3. Guys, remember? T3 is the inactive form. Metabolites found in water polluted from coal cause a decrease in thyroid hormone production. Selenium deficiency results in underconversion of T4 to T3. Remember, we were talking about the conversion. That can be something that is the issue if the TSH is in a good place, but you still feel like crap. We need to look at that conversion. A chronically heightened stress response causes an increase in cortisol and a decrease in the conversion of T4 to T3. Here's the conversion again. really leaning into what does your body do with stress and being real about that evaluation. A lot of times when we've had stress like for a long time, we kind of get used to it and we don't remember to lean in and really understand how our body is being affected by that. So that can be a good place to start for you if you've got thyroid imbalance. Okay. So what can you do, right? If you have symptoms that are causing you to question whether your thyroid is out of balance or not, now you know the blood markers to ask for and what they mean. You also know that if you're experiencing imbalance in the thyroid, some further investigation needs to be done to find out why that imbalance is happening. Okay? So here's some just quick clues for you. Food sensitivities are a common cause of imbalance in the thyroid, and those can be discovered easily. I actually using testing, and I put a link in here to an amazing food sensitivity test. You can order it yourself. Okay. Simple full body blood work. This can give us so many clues. And I'm going to kind of tell you guys a secret a little bit. So we are building as a team, we're building a workshop that's coming up. And one of the things that we're going to do is really unlock how to read and look at your CBC and CMP panels for yourself and really understand what you're seeing and how to put that into, okay, what can I do to really help my body be balanced? Okay, so excited about that. So being realistic about that stress and how you manage that stress, we just touched on that, but please lean into that, okay? Stress management exercises can be very effective when supporting imbalance being caused by increased cortisol. All right. So we as a team here at Sagebrush Wellness are standing by to support you around additional testing that you may need or walking with you as a practitioner as you unravel what is causing imbalance in your thyroid. Our whole team can be involved in helping you become truly well. Okay. How to work with this. Use the link in your follow-up email. I also put the link here for you. We'll be sending you a copy of these slides in your, in your email. So you can just copy this and use it to book right in if you want to. This is a 30-minute introductory call. I'll be the one chatting with you at this point. And it is a $47 non-refundable investment. We get to really dive in together, right? In this call, we talk about your top 3 health concerns. There's never just one, right? We really need to understand what's going on with your body. We get to understand fully how you've tried to address those top 3 health concerns, what's worked and what hasn't, right? What's worked, that's awesome. And those are great clues into what's happening in your body. But the things that haven't worked, those are almost, more important because that tells me what your body is not interested in. Okay. And then we discover whether you're a good fit to work with us or not. And you'll get to discover that too, because this is literally an introduction to each other and being able to really lean in to what it could feel like to work with us and work with our team. Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've learned so much and that you're like, okay, I've got this handled. I can look at my thyroid test results and understand more fully what is possibly happening in my body. If you need help, we are here to help you. Have an amazing rest of your day.